Waar is onze collega's van die Taxi Association? Is hulle hier? Okay. And Wesley? Ek wag net vir die collega's van die Taxi Association. Because you see, the people from the media, when we talk, we don't want to talk about things like we are thumb sucking. We want to talk about things that people can see, things that people can hear, and sometimes things that you can touch and smell. That is what we're talking about here today. Well, I think we can start. Firstly, I would also like to welcome our activists here today. I know the sun is extremely hot today, and thank you for being here, thank you for coming. I want to invite all the staff members, my colleagues, and Safia, I think you must come sit here also. This is the fact. Ons het lekker sitstoele hier. There's too much van 'n male choir hier so. En die spasie is klein. Oh, dit voel nie lekker nie, is okay. Ja. Colleagues, firstly, I need to introduce to you the panel that is sitting here in front of you. On my right-hand side, I've got my provincial chairperson. His name is Harold Matlua, and he is the provincial chair for the DA in the entire Northern Cape. And then obviously it's myself, the funny face that you know of the DA. And the gentleman here on my left-hand side, his name is Soli Molatsi. He is the spokesperson of the DA on a national level, and he is from Limpopo province. And on my extreme left-hand side, at Safia Stanley, she is also our colleague here in the provincial legislature and MPL. And today we are here in order to speak on the issue that we see so often happens here in our province. Now, we have invited you as the media to come here today because we want to address the issue that is happening and that is stifling growth. Because the people sitting there or standing there on my extreme left-hand side there, we call them the taxi owners of the taxi industry. Many of these people are completely unhappy of what is happening in the taxi industry. And that is why today we have invited you as the media to come so that we can, on their behalf, we can express our unhappiness of what is happening in the taxi industry. The taxi industry is meant to be a very noble industry where men and women, people of the greater community, are doing business with the community, for the community. But unfortunately, there is an element of politics that have crept into this industry. Because when you look at the issuing of taxi licenses and the manner how these taxi licenses have been issued over a number of years, it have robbed business owners the opportunity in order to do proper business. Because as we know, many of them, if they don't want to do business anymore, they sell their licenses unto people who want to do business. But it's one thing to say that they are selling that. In the meantime, there's a back door that was opened. And the back door that was opened was as a result of some people who are politically connected in order for that back door to be left open. And these people are getting taxi licenses under or behind the door. And today we are here to expose that for what it's worth. We are here to say to the people in the taxi industry, whether it's a Kharishwet taxi industry, whether it's Roodepan, whether it's Homeville, whether it's a Greenpoint taxi industry, we support taxi industries in the interest of fairness and in the interest of making sure that these people can do business with the community. Now, the funny part of it all, instead of the Department of Safety and Security, Transport, instead of supporting these people, they are fighting them. They are fighting them because they've got ulterior motives. And the ulterior motives was born behind the backdrop of some of them are benefiting out of these taxi licenses that are being given out fraudulently so. The taxi industry are in court as we speak. And I must also put it on record. The media, you are here today, you can interview them also if you so feel. They are in court and they have won their court cases with costs. The only thing that is outstanding now is the implementation of the court proceedings. They are fighting their court case with money that have been the sweat of their foreheads. On the other hand, government is fighting them with taxpayers' money in order to try and prove the contrary. We are here and say, enough is enough. We want to say to the ANC government, you must stop interfering with business people. These people are here to make business with the community. These people need to be protected by you. Instead, you are fighting them. Now, as the DA, we say we are not going to remain spectators. We are going to take this matter up. And I'm glad to say that my colleague here on my left-hand side, Soli, who is also a rep for the DA in National, will be addressing this matter also with the Minister, Blake Mzimande. Because I'm well aware of the fact that in 2017, that the taxi industry of Greenpoint have gone to Parliament in order to hand over a memorandum to speak to the Minister on the issue of the way how they're being treated here in Kimberley and in the Northern Cape. We are mindful about that. And we will also be escalating this matter to the Minister again to say, Minister, what have you done about the issue that was brought to your attention in the manner how these people have been treated, and also what is the next step that is going to happen? You see, colleagues, it is because of these evils in our society, it's because of the corrupt activities of the ANC that keeps on happening in our communities, and we need to put a stop to that. And that is why I want to urge and ask each and every person, whether you are a taxi commuter, whether you are a taxi owner, we want to say to you, the only way we can put a stop to this, we need to get a new government. And that government is a DA government that must come in 2019. It doesn't matter, let me put it to you this way, it does not matter who is in the steering wheel. For as long as it is the ANC, they can chop and change MECs, they can chop and change premiers, they can chop and change mayors of municipalities. It will never change. The status quo will remain. It will always be the same car with a different driver. And that driver, the only thing that he or she is looking at is to see how quickly they can fill their own pockets. I'm here to say to you, we need to bring a stop to that. And the DA is the only political party that can bring real change to make sure that people who are exposed to these practices of maladministration in the taxi industry and other industries, so that we can bring a stop to that. That is why we want to form partnership, public partnership with the taxi industry and other industries as well. I cannot understand, it goes beyond comprehension, that why the Premier of this province have never made it a business in order to intervene, to bring a stop to this thing that is happening. The people of the Greenpoint taxi industry, they are completely unhappy. They are being discriminated against. They are being intimidated from time to time. There are fights here at the same taxi lane where we are here today. We want to say to you as a DA, we are standing behind you 100%. We want to make sure that people are treated fairly. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter where you reside. People need to be treated with dignity and respect. Whether you live in Harishiwe, whether you live in Greenpoint, people should be treated equally and fairly. And that is the type of government that the DA will bring in 2019. Because we know that people are sick and tired of empty promises. People are sick and tired where people every time are being put on the shelf. People are tired for people telling them that we will resolve an issue which does not happen. We will bring in a government that cares for the people. We will bring in a government that says to the people of the Northern Cape, you will be treated on merit. We want to bring in a taxi industry that would be able to serve the people of our beautiful city of Kimberley and its immediate surroundings. We must stop politicizing this industry of the taxis. Because many people have sacrificed their lives. Many people have sacrificed their pensions in order to invest in this industry. And today, we want to say to all the people of Kimberley, of all the federations of the taxi industry, we support you, but we will support you under one condition and one condition only, and that is to make sure that everybody is being treated equally and everybody is being treated fairly. We need to ask the minister to come and intervene here so that he can also launch a proper independent investigation, so that this investigation can be able to make sure that by the time when these people have applied for taxi licenses, whether those taxi permits are legitimate or not. And it is those people who are practicing here at this taxi rank, illegitimately so, who are fighting the people who are supposed to belong here. We want to say, the time for being a spectator is over. The time for people to walk over other people is over. We want to bring in a DA government in this province, because you can see for yourself. You need to be blind not to be able to see that this ANC government, they don't care for you. This ANC government only cares about themselves. They care about their people and they care about corruption. They like corruption, they love corruption, they will die as a result of corruption. Viva DA, viva! Now colleagues, next door to me here, I've got my colleague Soli Molati that will be speaking also on this issue, because I want to give him a mandate on behalf of the taxi industry. I want to give him a mandate so that he can speak to Blade Mzimande. We must actually put a demand on Blade and say, come to Kimberley and come and see what are your comrades, what are they doing with the people here. That is what we want him to do. Over to you, Soli. Thank you.
Thank you very much, leader. I mean, the issue here is quite simple. You've got politicians interfering with an administrative process. And what it does is that it puts the taxi industry in clashes with each other. Because when you issue permits to illegal operators who are not supposed to operate, it infringes on the right of those who are legally registered. And the cost of that is the passengers who are affected, because when there are clashes over routes, the people who get caught up in the violence are the passengers who rely on public transport for work. So we accept the mandate. It is simple. The mandate that needs to go to the Minister of Transport is to make sure that the provincial department treats all the operators fairly and equally, so that on the roads we can have people who are registered with the vehicles that are in good condition to carry passengers, because that's another element of the illegal operators. For you to have a permit, your vehicle needs to go through a testing that shows that it complies with the rules of being a public transport operator. But when you've got your permit back door, that process goes out of the window. So we'll be doing that letter on behalf of the taxis to the National Minister of Transport. We'll also do a petition on their behalf, which will submit to the Speaker of Parliament, so that we can elevate the issue and they can get the answers and the fair treatment that their provincial government is not giving at a national level. Thank you.
In addition to that, before we're going to afford the media the opportunity to pose questions, we're going to have a march. The taxi industry, as a DA, we will organize a special march. And that march will go over to the memorandum, to the MEC responsible for the transport safety and liaison. Because we want them to commit themselves to say what exactly are they going to do. We can never forever just wait and see and things are not happening. Because as I've said, we are tired of empty promises. Because we are going to go to the streets and march and give over this memorandum. Because we want to show, and the next thing that I would like to see, they must do an audit, an independent audit. We don't want the scalums of Kimberley. We want they must get people from somewhere else so that they can come and conduct an independent audit, so that they can check for the past 5 years, people that got taxi permits, who are these people? Have they received the taxi permits illegally or illegally? And my mind is telling me that a lot of these people have received the taxi permits illegally, free of charge, and even, I want to go as far as to say, your taxi board must be investigated as well. We must make sure, because it's no use we're going to treat the symptoms. We must get to the bottom of the story, so that we must make sure that each and every facet of the industry is being vetted. Each and every person is being vetted. Each and every taxi and permit holder is being vetted so that by the end of the day, by the time when people are on the roads delivering services to the communities which they so desperately need, then we can say those are people who deserve to be taxi owners and permits. But the reason why people are fighting, the reason why taxi owners here at this rank is fighting, I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm not thumb sucking. It's something that I've seen. I'm cutting my hair there. Every Saturday, I cut my hair there. As a result, I am witnessing and I am seeing the fights that are happening here. Our biggest worry, the worry of the DA and the concern of the DA, we don't want people to kill each other as a result of bread and butter issues. Because you see, the moment when people become vulnerable, this industry, it's a very good industry, but the manner how the ANC is politicizing this industry, it is completely unacceptable. I would even go as far as to say, we must do a head hunting, we must do a head count, we must go and check each and every taxi, because I was told under good authority that there are Avis taxis that are standing here at these ranks, that are pirating people to and from. Those are things that this government must be able to investigate and must be able to check. But you see, I will not be surprised. And here I want to speak out of my turn. I will not be surprised if amongst these people here, the politicians, if they themselves are also not involved in here. If the politicians are not involved in this industry, and I want to start off to say, you know, we as politicians, we sometimes can make sweeping statements. I want to say, and I want to declare, my name is Andrew Lowe, and I do not have a taxi, and I do not have a taxi permit, and I am not interested to get involved in this industry because I want to afford the people who have paid with blood and sweat. I want to afford you the opportunity so that you can do business. I mean, I have decided to become a politician, and that is where my focus should be. It can never be that people are so selfish. They want to have 7 to 8 to 9 taxis here on the rank, but he's still having a good paid job. He is might be an HOD, or he might be a politician, or he might be a MEC. We want to say enough is enough. Thank you very much. Over to the media guys. You are more than welcome to ask us any question so that we can respond on that. Thank you.
Olebogeng Molale from Revival FM. Ntatelo, first, the issue of corruption. Is there any evidence to say there is corruption, maybe within the Department of Transport and Safety in the province? And another question would be, a year ago, the former MEC of Transport, MEC Pauline Williams, established a moratorium to address the issue of corruption within the taxi industry, and also the backlog of permits. Now, getting involved into this issue, which is between the Department of Transport and the Taxi Association, will this not also maybe build a picture of you also politicizing the same issue which you are saying is being politicized?
Michael from FiND and Kimberley. I'd just like to ask the particulars of the court case. What was the judgment and the findings of the court?
Is that all? Okay, let's start off with revival. Here we are talking about fairness. And what is important here about the corruption in the industry? I'm not the one to tell you that. They are they. Maybe you must do yourself a favor, my colleague. There do they stand, the taxi cards. They will tell you the wrath of corruption that is happening here. And the only way how we can uncover this, my proposal is, let us conduct an independent audit so that we can find out. Because you see, corruption sometimes it sometimes have unintended consequences. That is what corruption has. Let me tell you, I'm mindful of the fact that people are now lately registering on the board with names of their children, their wives, and people with disabilities, because they are the people that are getting preferences in terms of the taxi permits nowadays. Corruption, indeed, there is corruption. And in terms of the court case, it is exactly because the court case was won as a result of the corruption that is happening in the industry. It's there. And that court case, it cost the taxi owners to the tune of plus minus 800,000 rand, money that comes out of their pockets. And the government is fighting them with the taxpayers' money instead of helping them to resolve the problem. In addition to that, the taxi industry have won the court case with costs against the government. So, I mean, where does the fairness come in there? There's no fairness. In fact, as a taxpayer, the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to have, as part of the petition or the march that I'm proposing, we want to ask the MEC responsible now, because at the time of Pauline Williams, when you move over from the one department to the next department, you taking it over stock, lock and barrel. And the responsibility, you take it with you. We want to ask the MEC who is there now to say, but what have you done? Because every time, it doesn't matter which MEC is in that department, the taxi industry approach that person. And not one of them have done anything about this issue. And as far as the court case are concerned, and the particulars thereof, Michael, because this matter is still a matter that is being heard in court, I wouldn't like to divulge that information at the moment. But if you want me to, we can always discuss that offline in terms of the court case. Because you see, we don't also want to give out ammunition here in public so that we can enable them to go and use that ammunition against the taxi industry. We don't want to do that. But the one thing that I want to say, these guys of Greenpoint from the taxi industry, I salute you because you are decent men and women. You have never decided to take the law in your own hands. Because you see, sometimes when people says bread and butter is being threatened, then people start misbehaving. They haven't done that once. In fact, other people came and they came here to come and fight you. But you people retaliated all the time. And I want to ask you, even if I have to ask you, please let us not take the law in our own hands. What you guys are doing, it's the right thing. Let the law take its course. You have won your case. We are waiting for the outcome. I'm not surprised. They will try and delay situations for as long as they can. But at the end of the day, the truth will prevail. Any more questions? Guys from the media, please, man, ask me questions.
Tatelo, okay, the issue of the taxi industry, the backlog of permits, the issue of corruption has been coming up for years now. And so why are you only addressing it now? Is it a strategy maybe for the elections?
Well, let me refresh your memory. When you look at the media statements that I've put out for 2, 3, 4 years all along, and that is another thing that we must also understand. The idea is not to politicize this thing at all, but the idea is to come to the rescue of these people, because these are people who are living in our community. In fact, many of them have approached me on numerous occasions, and I've been of assistance to them. I'm standing here as a proud representative of the Democratic Alliance. In fact, maybe what the media need to do is to speak to them privately also there. You will hear, they will tell you, the DA is the only political party that was prepared to have engagements with them, to talk to them, and to even escalate these matters, and to debate these issues in the portfolio committee as well. And on top of that, to actually have budget speeches on this particular issue. In the second one, the issue of the moratorium. You see, and that is where the crux of the matter is. When you say that you place a moratorium on the permits of the taxi industry, then it means you put a hold on it. But during the time of the moratorium, there were still taxi permits that were given out. Backdoor. That is a problem. And we are not thumb-sucking when we say this. There is evidence to that. But Michael, to respond to that question as well, we cannot divulge that information at the moment because that is another subject which must be displayed in a court of law. So, it's one thing for the MEC to say we place a moratorium. Ah man, you can never trust them. They have placed moratorium on land in Kimberley. But while there was a moratorium on land, former Mayor Matika and his buddies, they wanted to steal land, and I stopped them. We stopped them, and you are aware about that as a media. We were the forerunners to say, you want to practice what you don't preach. It doesn't work like that. If you speak about moratorium, it must apply to all the people. But we uncovered them. And we know, you see, the moment when this ANC government speaks about moratoriums, you must get scared. Because you must start wondering, what are they doing there in the dark corners? But as nature has it, these things have the tendency of coming out. It doesn't matter how we look at it. Are there any follow-up questions? Or can we call it a day? Are you a media person, sir? Okay. Colleagues, I want to thank you very much for taking your time to come here today. And I also would like to say to the people here, the businessmen and women of the Greenpoint Taxi Association, I want to say to you that we will stand behind you, like we have stand behind you all the time. And I'm not doing this for political gain or for political reasons. I'm doing this in the interest of fairness. I'm doing this because I don't want you guys to get involved with fights. You've got children, you are men and women who also have families. I noticed where people were standing here with firearms, wanting to kill one another as a result of these permits. So this is a very sensitive issue. This is an issue because if this thing is not being regulated, this government will have to bear the brunt of the bad decisions that will be made and the spin-offs that will be coming out of this. I want to say thank you to everybody that came here today, in particular our media colleagues, in order to come and listen to this press conference. And we will also be following up this with electronic versions of the speech that we have made here today. We say thank you very much for coming. And of course, this will also be the place where we will be marching here day and night. Because ours is to make sure. And I also want to say, if the people, wrong is wrong, people, it doesn't matter who you are. Wrong is wrong and right is right. Because at the end of the day, you see, people have become so blind that even wrong things nowadays are just being treated normally. It can't be. Somebody needs to speak up. Somebody must stand up. And that somebody that will be speaking will be me together with my colleagues from the Democratic Alliance in this Northern Cape. So that by the time when the TA will take over this province after the elections, you can hold us accountable. Because what we're doing here is accountability. We need to keep each other accountable. That is what we need to do. Colleagues, thank you very much for coming.